Well, hey, all. It is Wednesday. Um, Buck, I don't even know the date. It's probably the 30th. Morning, going to work. And I had made a podcast that was more I don't know, philosophical in nature and stuff, which has changed a lot, but still, I think I need to get it out there. Unfortunately, I've run into an issue with my software that won't compile my videos once they're edited, and that's probably because it's the newest upgrade. Fucking everybody's got to always upgrade every week. So I don't know what's happening, but I've tried 4 times, and it's like a 2-hour process to do this. So normally I have it run in the background, and then it seems like when I go back to it, it's stopped. So it was supposed to do it last night, and it stopped. So I'm going to upload the audio because I do have that. And a lot of the things in there are pertaining to the war in Ukraine and the torture and the murder of some Russian soldiers and stuff. And so, things have changed in the last 2 days. I think it's a given now that, you know, the world is seeing that Russia has won this war in Ukraine. It's over. All the only thing left is decrying, really, and so unless something just blatantly fucking crazy weird happens, um, I think the conflict will be over soon, and I think the world is starting to realize that they backed the wrong dog in this fight by supporting Ukraine. All it did is cause more pain and suffering in the world and in Ukraine and with the people of Ukraine because everybody was, you know, dogpiling on Russia, causing the whole war to be drug out in different ways. It changed the calculus of the entire thing. But Russia's been doing what they call a maneuver kind of strategy instead of just a shock and awe, which is what everybody that's been saying Ukraine is, winning and Russia's losing because they expected Russia to go in there and fight like NATO and in the way Ukraine was trained, and Russia just outmaneuvered them, sent in less people, locked down Ukraine or Kiev by not even going in there, but just acting like they were with less troops than they needed. And leaving their convoy on the side of the road, and all these weird things were all just, basically like flanking maneuvers or like feints. I think that's what one expert called it. He goes, it's called a feint, to where when you do something that they think you're going to do, that they leave a lot of troops there, and then you've taken those troops off the table with a far smaller number of your troops. And so now they can't function because, Ukraine probably had a 600,000 man army or whatever, whether how trained they all were or whatever, it didn't matter. And Russia went in there with a lot less people, and they thought, oh, Russia's going to lose, right? So it looks like Russia has won because Zelensky is a motivational speaker. He's a talk show host. He's a comedian. Putin is a champion chess player, and so he thought the game out moves ahead, and then by doing a maneuver type of warfare, which hasn't been done since before we had air power. In some of these wars, the guy I was listening to said, well, we did that kind of in Desert Storm where we outmaneuvered them. We did some of it in Iraq, but we've always used air supremacy and shock and awe. So we didn't need to learn all these maneuvers, just go in there and fuck them up. And so Putin, you know, he showed everyone, you're wrong, and I know what I'm doing. And his approval ratings in Russia are through the roof. So anything you hear in the media that they want to kill him, that would just be deep state actors that hate Russia, not the Russian people. They just hate everybody. Fuck Putin. We don't like him. He's hurting us in our game plan for, one world government. Because, see, Putin is actually fighting the deep state. Isn't that weird? Everything us patriots talk about on Facebook and in our daily lives about the deep state this and the deep state that, and white hats versus the deep state, and blah, 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 QAnon and the deep state and the deep state, and we're winning the deep state. No, we're losing the deep. We need to fight the deep state. And meanwhile, there we are over in Russia with a pretty much a nuclear superpower that's kind of on our side fighting the deep state. And what we do? We all backed the wrong dog and turned into little bitches and believed exactly what the deep state told us to believe. That's what fucking amazes me. It's like, I don't know if I've said this before, but in the movie, The Punisher, the first one, with John Travolta as the bad guy, the Punisher gets him to believe that everybody is against him, and he kills his own best friend and his wife. Because, the Punisher is smarter. So here we are, wanting to fight the deep state, hating the deep state, and yet there's Russia saying, I'll help you fight the deep state because I don't like them either. In fact, I've had an arrest warrant out for George Soros for 10 years now. And if he ever steps foot in Russian soil, we'll arrest him. So that's probably why they were fighting so hard in Ukraine, because George Soros, he's got a lot of money in Ukraine. Him and the Biden family are heavily invested in Ukraine and the corruption therein. So if Putin gets Ukraine to totally surrender, then he can seize all of George Soros' assets and put a big fucking hurt on him. And then, what really amazes me, and we'll all see it unfold, the media and the deep state will sit there and talk about what Putin is, attacking these organizations, these NGOs, for humanitarian aid. And Putin just wants to take the money for himself because he wants to be an oligarch. And these NGOs are owned by Soros. So once again, we will be lied to by the deep state. And once again, mark my words, most of us will believe it. So if you're a patriot, if you're somebody that wants to get your country back, stop backing the wrong dog in the fight. Because, see, the fight is actually happening for Putin. To us in America, we've succumbed to the fight. It's over here. They control America's media, our finances, our government. There is no get in the fight in America. All we do is just like watching tennis, deep state good, deep state bad, good, deep state good, deep state bad. And so, everybody's talked for years, and I always hated hearing it. When that day comes to stand, will you stand? Where will you stand? Well, we know that most of the groups that we think we can rely on are going to tuck tail and run or piss themselves. And we saw that with Lavoy Finnegan, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but he was murdered. And the people that said they had a six did not have his six. There was one truck following him, to keep an eye on him way back there that got pulled over by the police and then was taken out of the equation. And he was murdered. All the fucking Oath Keepers and so many 3%ers and the men with arms and body arms and a bunch of young bucks looking all big and bad with their shit and their kit. And where were they when Lavoy Finnegan was shot the fuck down? Oh, they were off, you know, cowering under their desk just like the sheriff was, because somebody told them, stand the fuck down or we will disintegrate your organization from the top down. And so everybody having 501c3s, you know, so they're tax exempt, buckled under pressure, just like, and trust me, I'm not just picking on these militia groups like 3%ers and Oath Keepers. Because, see, we see that happening in our churches, too. Because everybody is a 501c3, so they get tax-exempt status, which you shouldn't even have to pay income tax in America, but either fucking way, you know, they're not talking the truth either. They're all going, well, maybe we should be social justice warriors, and maybe we should, you know, accept this as gospel doctrine that, you know, Jesus, when he was on earth, married Mary Magdalene and Julia fucking whoever. I don't know any Bible names, Elizabeth or fucking. There's a lot of women there. So, you know, they're going to try to make you believe that in the Bible, gay marriage was fine. They will. I mean, trust me, they haven't got there. So when you go to church, you get spoon-fed milquetoast because they don't want to lose their tax-exempt status, which to me is cowardly. You have organizations that are good. I mean, Oath Keepers are a good organization. The 3%ers are great. Their heart is in the right place. They've just had their balls, you know, cut off because they bought into the 501c3 thing instead of saying, you know what, we'll pay our taxes, go fuck yourself. We'll do what we think is right. But see what happens when you do that, you end up like, you know, Koresh and the Branch Davidian, you know, burned out of existence with watching your children break their own bones by contorting so much because of nerve gas that they literally, you convulse so badly that you break your own back by twisting and stuff. So, I don't know, you know, that's what's happened to America's underground fight. You know, we're trying to fight. We're trying to replenish the tree of liberty. And on every aspect of the battlefield, we have lost. You know, we're not in the fight. In fact, we don't even know where the fight is. That's how far behind the game plan we are as patriots in America. And I hate to say it because then it seems really bad. It's like, oh my God, Mark, you know, what are you saying? That we're fucked? Well, kind of, yeah. You know, but we wouldn't be fucked if we would start fighting battles. You know, actually fighting, not just, you know, gathering momentum on Facebook and Twitter and getting our posse together and starting to get a lot of clicks and views because that changes hearts and minds. You know, no, get in the fucking battle. And I've said this before, and I guess it bears repeating. Like what Lavoy Finnegan did and the Bundy Ranch showed was when enough people get together, not like hundreds of millions, just enough people get together and start protesting, in come the FBI and BLM, which is fine. You know, they can outnumber you. Because, you know, you get 100 ranchers that are pissed off. You know, if you're saying and doing the right things, the FBI will mobilize their goon squad and come in. Just like we saw with, you know, what happened in, you know, with the Hammonds and Lavoy Finnegan trying to help them, and with the Bundy Ranch. So what does that tell us? Well, Mark tells us we're fucked. I don't know what to do. They show up and they kill people. That's fucking scary, Mark. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, so let me help you. We have the CSPOA, which is run by Sheriff Mack. It's a constitutional sheriff's organization. And peacekeepers, I think, or peace officers. Yeah. CS, which is Constitutional Sheriffs, PO, Peace Office Association. So we have that group. Now he's got a network of constitutional sheriffs and peace officers all around the country. So the Oath Keepers has a lot of smart people. And the 3%ers got a lot of young bucks that are willing to go out there and, gun up and, act all big and bad. Because when you combine those, see, then all of a sudden you do something like Bundy Ranch. And the FBI is like, whoa, fuck. And they run out there and then they play whack-a-mole. And then like a year later or 2 years, whatever it was between Bundy's and the Hammonds, then they do it again and then whack-a-mole. FBI, whack, whack. And we run around playing whack-a-mole because we're the fucking moles and we don't seem to know what to do. So you take a map, you get a map of all the counties in America. A big, United States map with all the counties in it. And then you have somebody like Sheriff Mack takes a pin and puts a little green pin in every county that has favorable constitutional sheriffs. Now, if they have a constitutional sheriff, it means that the population of that area are not dumb as fucking dirt. So that's kind of like pretty soon you have a map of every county in the United States. And let's say there's, out of 3,300 counties in America, you have 200 that are actually, like constitutional and not dipsticks. So then you sit there and go, okay, let's overlay a second map over that to where we have not just media like, but like good smaller media groups in the area. Like the radio station in this area he's just a diehard veteran conservative and, he will promote this. And then we got a couple newspapers and they will promote it. And then we got some really great, social groups there that are mobilized and have a lot of followers. And they got the SEO going to where we can really get a lot of momentum. Yeah. And then we got, let's see what else we got. Well, we got journalists that are, don't have their fucking heads up Soros' ass. And we got prosecutors and sheriffs. So out of these 200, sheriffs and that are constitutional, and we have about 100 that I think we could use to really encapsulate our message here. So what are we going to do? I think that maybe we should have a protest there, and then a year later have a protest over there, and then a year later. And let's give the FBI a time to regroup each time so we get whacked. Or do we say, I think on, I don't know, fucking April 15th or just pick a date, Don't use April 15th because that's too, they go, oh, these are tax rebels, whatever. Just pick an innocuous day. Like, I don't know, January 6th or something to where we can make a point. But just any day out of the 365 days in a year, just go on this day, May Day. How about that? We're going to do this organized protest. And so we're going to get ranchers and farmers or whatever are being fucked over. And we're going to do a Bundy Ranch at 100 places on that day. And then you're thinking, well, Mark, that spreads our numbers really thin. No, it doesn't. Because, Bundy started out with just a few people, like 100 people. I'm sure there's 100 people in each one of those counties where we're going to attack. We'll call it an attack, or we can call it an offensive. That sounds less threatening. We're going to do it then. And those people that live in that community, I'm sure there's 100 or 200 that'll go, yeah, they're fucking over Farmer John. There's GMOs and they're trying to take his property because he accidentally grew some GMO shit and Monsanto's trying to steal his land. Whatever. It doesn't matter the trigger. It just matters that there's enough people in that community to go, yeah, I'm standing with him. Everyone else could be agnostic on the matter. They just don't fucking care. They got a job and, college funds they got to, put money into and stuff. But But they're still all pretty conservative because they have a constitutional sheriff. They think, Sheriff Jane over there's kicking ass. She was the one that told you know, the Biden administration to fuck off with your mask mandate. We like her. So just like in our sheriff, he's not 100% constitutional sheriff yet, but he did say to our governor, we're not imposing these laws on our people. I will not enforce mask mandates. You can get all your nurses and shit to whine and bitch all you want, but as the chief law enforcement officer in this area, we're not enforcing it. And if the police try to, I will force them to stand down or arrest them. See? So now you have these people. So then what do is you put like a red pin on those 50 or 100 counties. It'd only take 10 or 15 really to scare the fuck out of the FBI. And then you do it. You plan it. You get all your media people together that are on your side, all of the influencers on Facebook and YouTube that are on your side, even if they've been, had their YouTube channels shut down, they're still out there and they're still influencing. They're just using different mediums now because YouTube can buck and pound sand, So then you just go, here's what we're going to do. Here's our game plan. This is the day at 6 a.m. where this is going to happen. A week before that, this rancher or farmer or person is going to start making waves in the press, and he will be coached and help function with the people that we're going to be using in this matter. So see, you put together a fucking battle plan. Fuck. And then you stage it. And then you have your barbecue and your beer or whatever the fuck you want. And bam, on that day, there's 100 people protesting. And then the news is like fucking going with it. And then if they're smart news people, they go, oh my God, what are we going to do? Call the FBI. And then the FBI comes in and the FBI tries to mobilize 2,000 people like they did at Bundy Ranch and BLM or whoever they can call in there. And you got the sheriff standing there going, back the fuck down. You're in my county. And these 300 deputies are here for one reason, to arrest you if you start fucking around with these people's right. And then all of a sudden, the FBI can't come up with, I don't know if you did 100 times 100 is that 1,000, 10,000? They don't have that much manpower. They really don't. They can show force up to maybe 10, 15 fucking protests. And other than that, they're going to stand down. So now you win. And you have an objective to win that argument. Just like Bundy won that argument. Hammond did not. Because, see, he didn't play his cards right. And so it got out of hand before Lavoie got there. And then Lavoie ended up just being the martyr that they killed. Because the FBI and the sheriff's and the marshal's department. And everybody was against him there because he was in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong fucking time with the right message. So what we need to do is put our right people in there, like Bundy and Lavoie Finnegan, in the right neighborhood at the right time with the right message and the right support, calling the sheriffs. And then, the whole community, instead of like it, what was it, Kern County or whatever up there where Lavoie was hanging out, the whole community, had thousands of people there, for this protest, and the media and everyone. What other side the media was on didn't matter. Their hotels were all rented. Their restaurants were making money hand over fist. And yet the judge and the governor, that Kate Brown fucking twat, and the judge and the media in their pocket were like, this is really inconvenient for our people. The entire community is really upset about this. They need to go away. It's causing a safety issue. When actually, if you'd have talked to the people, they're like, I've never made so much money in my fucking life. This is great. In fact, I rented out 3 rooms in my house because it's just me and my wife and we're empty nesters. We're making like $150 a night off of each room. They can stay as long as they want. See, so you have to get control of the narrative. I've studied marketing most of my life, and the most important thing is getting a hold of the narrative, controlling the narrative, and making sure that everything that comes out of your mouth with your spokesman is keeping with the mission statement. And they just didn't have that there. And so, and they would have had it, you know, I mean, they got control of it under Bundy only because of, he had started protesting wisely. And people were like, yeah, why are you taking these cows and killing them? You're saying you're taking them because they're being mistreated, and then you're taking them over there and killing them. Fuck off. So I'm not going to come up with the total game plan other than this, because there are people way smarter than me in the media and influencers and copyright people and radio DJs and hosts that could do a way better job than me. See, I can think it out, I can noodle it out and say, as a big picture, this is what we need to do. As far as the macro of it or the micro of it, getting down into each person as a spokesman, even if it's just a guy in the crowd, that looks like a redneck with his shirt cut off, kind of like the comedian Larry the Cable Guy and stuff. And they're like, go talk to him. He looks like a crazy radical. And they go in and talk to him, and this guy's just a fucking plant, because we can do that too. You can fight fire with fire. And this guy starts spewing shit that's like fucking constitutional, amazing. And it's like, no, I don't support him because I'm a redneck, It's not like I've been banging my sister and I got up out of bed and went, shit, I'm going to come and help Bob. See, no. You get a guy that's like, well, what's really happening here is this and this and this. And then all of a sudden, they will have him on live thinking he's going to say something really stupid. And then he doesn't. So they're going, oh, fuck him. That guy's got a gun. Let's go talk to him. He looks like a guy ready to just shoot a fucking American. And everybody that you put there not as a gray man, but as a person that's like a signal to the media, like red meat, that they're going to run to. And then he says something really smart, articulates the reason why we're doing this, and how, why the sheriff is actually helping, because this is the right thing to do. And you might only get a soundbite or two that gets squeaked out into the media, but it got squeaked out. And then pretty soon people are going to, like in the media, they're all just whores. So if they see that the story is getting legs of a different color, they're going to go, hey, we should cover this more because the ratings are through the fucking roof. Yeah, but they're talking about freedom and liberty. It's like, doesn't matter. We got fucking bills to pay. So this is how we do it. But I've digressed way off track only because I wanted to make that point again, that we need to back the right dog. And Russia is fighting the deep state. So stop spewing talking points that you've heard from all the old generals and the military guys that, well, I served under him. Did you ever stop and think that maybe he was a dick? Or maybe he's been bought and sold by the deep state? Stop listening and start thinking. I mean, we're all smart enough to noodle this out. So start doing it. Otherwise, you can kiss America goodbye. Because at the end of this week, even if Russia wins and Biden says, we're really sorry about the sanctions, here's your $300 billion we stole from you in the Federal Reserve, and we just want you to start using the dollar again, Putin is not going to do it. The ruble has become the petro ruble, and it will not change back. So our economy is still going to slide out of control and turn into a fucking clusterfuck. Straight up, end of story. So we can lose this country during the chaos that will ensue, or we can win it. But it won't be the media that hands us our freedom back. It won't be our government that hands us our freedom back. It may be a handful of sheriffs and good people in your town, but it will be local. And we might even see states dividing off and becoming nation states, like Texas, and maybe, you know, fuck, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona might have to band together just because California is full of crazy motherfuckers. And then we will become the nation of the Southwest or whatever. And whether we can legally secede or not will not matter one fucking bit. Just like there's contracts with Saudi and the Bretton Woods, and they can't buy oil without using the dollar. And then all of a sudden somebody says, I need dollars. I need oil, and I'm going to buy rubles. And they're like, yeah, but you're breaking the rules. We had a pinky swear, crossed our heart and, hope to die. Well, tough fucking luck. So everything's going to change. And everything's going to, waiting for Flagman to tell me I can go. So they're working on our road again. Fucking things up. It's going to look kind of pretty, actually, so I don't really care. So I got off track a little bit, spacing out, making sure I didn't get hit by a fucking tractor. So the dollar is lost its prominence. There is no petrodollar any fucking more. And some countries might still buy oil from us using the dollar, but see, we don't produce any. Oh, and I don't see this administration trying to help us by opening up these gas lines and drilling and stuff like that. Because if they wanted to, they'd be doing it. So you can take those parts of the equation off the table now. They've run their course, and it's not going to change the mathematics of it. Oh, I got to go somewhere else. So that's going to be the fucking way it is. So we need to start we need to start not worrying about Ukraine at all, really. If we wouldn't have got involved, we wouldn't have sanctioned Russia, and the dollar would still be the dollar. But no, our leaders, see, knowing that, fuck things up. Why? Because they're deep state operatives. They're not your politician. They're not the people that you elected. They're the people that the deep state told you to elect. Duh. So they're not going to help. The person you thought had your back for years was the one that was just waiting for the time to stab you in the back. And then you'll be like, oh my God, Lindsey Graham fucked us? Yeah. That was his plan all along. We don't know how deep and far back, but like, what's her name? Fucking Nolan, the shit show operator here in Ukraine, hates America and hates Russia. She hates Russia so bad that this was all planned by her. Because her grandfather was fucked over 100 years ago when Russia was Russia, before they became the Soviet Union, before they became the Russian Federation. But her dear old grandpapa, because of the proletariat, I guess is who it was that, I heard in the story, fucked over her grandfather. It wrecked him so bad that her father was abusive and had to do electroshock therapy to get over it. Even though he was a famous surgeon and created some clinics and wrote a lot of books, he was fucked in the head. So, Lindsey Graham, does he fucking hate America? Just says he likes it because of whatever? Well, fuck, perhaps. So I think, we actually have, what back in the day we called Manchurian candidates. And a lot of our politicians are not what they appear to be. And Lindsey Graham, he's never appeared to be a patriot. So, other than shouting for war every time there's a war, and it's not like there's any wars that he don't want you to die in. But, people think that's patriotic, and it's just fucking not. So we have to take stock in those that we've allowed to run our country. And we've always known that, pretty much they're all fuck-ups. And we've been allowed to be divided that, it's like, well, Bush was better than Obama because Bush had an R in front of his name, but Bush got us into some fucking really serious fuck-ups. And most of the time these wars that have ruined, life in other countries and made us, I don't know, like somebody that's brought upon themselves all this bad, was done by who? Oh, let me think. Fucking Republicans. So you have to rethink and redefine your paradigm and your operating system, because they've been lying to us. And it's not just they, the Republicans, or they, the Democrats. It's like they, the deep state. I've said this over and over and over again. The deep state has been around since Adam and Eve. It was probably a deep state operative that got her to eat the fucking apple. Not that that was a bad thing, but anyway. So they've been around in the Bible, talked about, these secret combinations and, other scriptures, whether you believe them or not, like the Dead Sea Scrolls. And you look at the history of human beings on the planet. We've been killing each other since we fucking created Adam and Eve's first two kids. One of them killed the other, right? So, I don't know. Was that the plan, that we were all just a bunch of warmongering fuckers? Or was it because of opposition in all things? And that we as humans need to rise above it and become better than that, so we can pass this fucking class, lesson, whatever we're in, this maze, so we can get out in one piece. And then God will go, I like you. See, you weren't stupid. You didn't believe all the bullshit that the deep state that I created to fucking challenge you in life. I built the maze to see if you were worth your salt to be in my kingdom. We're not going to rise above that and become victorious over this inherent, destructive, murderous genetic code that we were given, or what? But we have to do it. I mean, it seems to be, not a religious principle, but maybe it is. But either way, we need to fucking save this country. Otherwise, it's just fuck. Why? I mean, otherwise, why are we here? If I'm not going to rise above it and fight to protect my country, then I'm going to do like all the other motherfuckers and just abuse the shit out of my privilege as a thinking human being and an American, and sell out to the deep state and make a fucking crap ton of money while I'm out there killing people that get in my fucking way. I can't do that. See? And neither can a lot of you. So you have a choice. It's either or. You accept it the way it is and go, we are evil by birth. Not because the devil, but because that's maybe why we're here. Or you go, fuck it. I'm going to take God's challenge and I'm going to become better. Either way, it's up to you. So we have a chance, and I'm going to harp on it one more time. And fucking Putin is helping. He's an Orthodox Christian. He lives and breathes his religion. His house looks like a church. He pays families to have children. They have private property now. Not like we do, where we don't really own it. We're just renters from the county as long as we pay our taxes. They actually own their property now. They have more freedoms and rights than we do in Russia. And I know that's kind of like, me telling you, do you want to see some naked pictures of your wife? Because it just runs diametrically opposed to, your way of thinking. But when you factor in the logic of everything and what you see, not what you hear, you will start to see that maybe America's been on the wrong path. I mean, we became free and independent, and then there was the revolution, the Industrial Revolution, where we became rich and powerful because, like the Tetler cycle says, becomes great wealth. And then we just slid into the abyss of fucking stupidity and apathy. And now we're at the verge of going back into slavery and bondage. And maybe we can detour that fucking cycle and do the right fucking thing, or not. So anyway, I digress. I'm at work. I got some food. I'm going to go munch, plug in my computer. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
We made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.